$50 Metro Diner gift card. Casey watched Back to the Future last night, so he posed a question to me. I didn't know the answer, but I have it here. Maybe you know. What kind of dog food does Doc Brown feed Einstein? Mm-hmm. And we've learned this in the beginning of the movie in a little sequence.
Right.
And if you happen to have caught what brand of dog food that was, then you can call now and give us the answer. 215-263. WMMR is the number. Let's see if you know what kind of dog food Doc Brown feeds Einstein. All right, we'll go through birthdays, and there's a lot of them today on Wednesday, April 21st. Oh, let's start with a biggie. It's Tony Danza's birthday.
Tony Danza.
Hey. Tony Danza is 70 years old today.
Still don't know why Nick's dad hates me so much.
And, Nick's dad loathes Tony Danza.
You know, I recently rewatched an episode of Who's the Boss, and my dad was right. It's an awful show.
I was wondering if your dad and Tony Danza vied for your mother's affection at one point.
No, my dad loved Taxi, too. You know, he thought Tony was funny on that, but Who's the Boss just terrible.
And, bad. You know, we're complete opposite of Nick's family because Who's the Boss was like, that was appointment TV. Yeah. That was something that I sat down.
I thought it was a fun show.
Well, you were Alyssa Milano.
But I sat down with my parents. We would watch it together. And yes, people compared me when I was younger to, or say that I could, pass for Alyssa Milano.
There you go.
Tony Danza in that show reminded me of my dad, of my own father.
Really?
So it was like,
I banged Janis Joplin.
No, but there's just...
Angela, I got to tell you something. We were at Woodstock and I banged Janis Joplin.
So
but anyway.
Nick and his dad have this hate when you say Tony Danza's name, and I'm like, oh, Tony.
Tony is 70 years old today. A guy who we were just smitten with, James McAvoy, celebrates his birthday today.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, we've had a couple of encounters with him, but the last conversation we had was so awesome, and he's dating a Delco gal.
He is.
Yeah.
And they live together, and
he knows Delco.
They don't live together?
They don't live together, but she did move to London for him. She's actually a friend of mine, and they have two, I think, whatever. But they have two separate spots because he has to live further out where his child is, and she lives in the city.
But he's fantastic. The movies with M. Night Shyamalan and The Last King of Scotland and the X-Men series.
He was fantastic as Charles.
He's 42 today. Charles Grodin.
Yes.
From everything from Midnight Run to Heaven Can Wait.
To one of our favorites, Preston.
Yes.
The Lonely Guy.
Oh, my God. I forgot. Yes, him and Steve Martin. And by the way, it's Talk Like Bill Weston Day. We just found that out earlier.
Heaven Can Wait.
He was in Heaven Can Wait.
Heaven Can Wait.
That's right.
Heaven Can Wait.
One more time.
Heaven Can Wait till another day.
His subtleties in his comedy are
That's
just
his thing.
The best, man.
And he was in the original version of The Heartbreak Kid, which is a great movie.
And it says here he was in Rosemary's Baby. I don't remember that. Maybe he had a small role.
He must have had a really small role.
But he's 86 years old today.
Oh, my God.
My goodness.
Remember for a while he had a talk show. I think it was on MSNBC.
Yeah. Andy McDowell, the actress, Groundhog Day.
That's my favorite Andy McDowell role. That's where she's the most approachable and I think the cutest.
Sex Lies Videotape, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and so on. She is 63. It's also Iggy Pop's birthday.
Iggy.
Yeah. Iggy Pop turns 74 years old.
Wow. Didn't you guys see him perform at Bam's wedding?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bam's first wedding. He and the Stooges, they reunited at Bam's wedding. It was pretty wild, man, and they were great. They were awesome, and we were in a hotel downtown at
That's Bam for you.
in one of their big banquet rooms, and sure enough, the frickin' Stooges got up on stage and played.
Stooges.
It was pretty special. So.
It was at the Lowe's.
It was in the Lowe's?
Yeah.
Okay. He's 74 today, Iggy Pop.
Time to put the shirt on.
It's also Robert Smith's birthday today of The Cure.
I love The Cure.
Yeah.
I've loved them, since I first heard them years ago, and I got into what they call progressive rock at that time. And great stuff.
Yeah, agreed. He is.
And you guys played soccer with him.
I did not.
Okay.
The WDRE, we did have a soccer match against The Cure. I wasn't there that day, but I do have a couple of video clips, which is pretty wild. Seeing Robert Smith out on the pitch, kicking the ball around, but he's a soccer fan, and they love to play. I don't remember if our team won or not, but Robert is 62 today. It's Tony Romo's birthday. I know. He
is good good though, Case. You said it. Yeah.
Listen,
Oops.
And he likes the carrot,
I don't like him as a quarterback for the Cowboys because,
Yeah. It's obvious.
He's a great analyst for CBS football. He's a great analyst, and I do like his Corona commercials.
And he's an outstanding golfer.
Apparently so.
I mean, almost good enough to be a tour player. Like, very, very close.
No
not
kidding.
quite there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, not quite
good.
there, but he is.
Just put another thing on the
He's tried to make a run at it. He goes for the opens, and he's phenomenal at the game. So.
And he was involved with Jessica Simpson for a while, wasn't he?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were
all right.
an item.
Good on him. He's 41 today. Another great guest, Rob Riggle, man. Yes. Is that from The Hangover?
Yeah.
And he's great in Step Brothers.
Oh my God.
God, as the guy who works at the ad agency.
Yeah,
oh my
I have him. What's
God.
that?
Yeah.
He's
And he
the
also, while you're looking for that, he would do, remember Frank Caliendo used to do, he would do skits for the Fox Good Day, or not Fox Good Day, Fox NFL.
Yeah, Fox, yeah.
And so they took that away from Frank and they gave it to Rob Riggle, and Rob's were really, really good. And then last year, they had some dude who I have no idea who he was. I'm like, why'd they get rid of Rob Riggle? Like, his bits were great.
Well, maybe one day we'll find out. We've had him on the show a couple of times, and lest we forget, he's also was a former Marine.
Yep. He's 51 today. Robbie Amell, the actor, who was in The Duff, and he also, I forgot what character he played on The Flash, but he was I think he was a nemesis in The Flash. He is 33 today.
He was actually half. There was a superhero that was two people. Became one. So and he was on, and then he was swapped out for another actor. His brother.
No, and they're not brothers; they're cousins.
Cousin Stephen Amell is Arrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Gotcha.
And he's on an Amazon Prime show that I think it's called Upload.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Pierre loves that show.
Yeah.
And then the last birthday, and I saved this one. She's had a rough couple of weeks, but Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
Turns 95 years old today. Yeah.
I mean, talk about a tumultuous. Again, losing your life partner of decades.
Yeah. And listen, while she obviously lives in the lap of luxury, and has privilege beyond privilege,
the Queen has privilege
beyond probably
medical care,
anyone else in the world. It's a difficult position to hold.
Watch The Crown, which is, for what everybody says, is pretty damn accurate. It is a life of stoic isolation.
Yes,
and but she's happy though. Apparently, she got a drone for her birthday.
Oh, hey.
I can see the roof of Buckingham Palace.
She can fly it all around inside those places
Absolutely.
easily. So she's 95 today, Queen Elizabeth II. All right, we'll see if somebody knows the answer to this question. What kind of dog food does Doc Brown feed Einstein in Back to the Future? And we are going to go to Chris for the answer. Good morning, Chris.
Who's Lou?
Yeah. All right, Chris. We heard from Lou yesterday, which is wonderful. What is the brand of dog food, please?
Is it Calcan?
Yeah. You got it, Chris. Hang on. Since you got it right, we are going to give you a $50 Metro Diner gift card. Share breakfast, lunch, or dinner with family and friends at your local Metro Diner, or order online at curbside pickup or contactless delivery. Enjoy classics like fried chicken and waffles, steak and scramblable, and more. And you can visit metrodiner.com to view their menu. Bunch of stuff to get to. We'll start with this. At 70 Show star Danny Masterson is claiming that outspoken Scientologist critic Leah Remini is a driving force behind the accusers in his rape case, citing court papers. Masterson and his team are asking for more time to prepare their case. He claims in legal papers that Remini urged three women, all of whom who have not disclosed their identity in public, to report him to the LAPD for sexual assault. And he's denying the allegations. He claims that they're fabricated. He also says that he was romantically involved with two of the three women and that their claims didn't emerge until after he got into a public spat with Remini over Scientology. Masterson also says the prosecution is starstruck by Remini and pals with her. He is asking the court for more time to gather information and fight the charges.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see how that plays out.
Weird little defense there. Yeah. Kendall Jenner has been granted a 5-year restraining order from a man named Malik Bowker, who allegedly threatened to kill her. A judge ordered him, I guess, to stay at least 100 yards away from Kendall and her home and work and vehicle.
So he's one of these guys who's like so in love he wants to kill her, one of those deals?
I guess so.
Yeah.
He is also not permitted to contact her electronically through texts, emails, or direct messages.
Can you imagine that?
Kendall headed to court after claiming he traveled across the country to shoot her with a gun. She also said that he planned to kill her with a gun and then turn the gun on himself. All this came as another 27-year-old man made it onto her property and tried to get into her pool and swim naked as well. So
She needs a better security device.
I believe so. Now, with that, a man was reportedly arrested over the weekend after he tried to break into Taylor Swift's apartment.
Every other week, someone's trying to break into Taylor Swift's apartment.
This is true.
Perhaps it's time to move.
When he arrived at Swift's home, located in the Tribeca neighborhood of New York City,
I'd like to come in and talk about a few things.
the man tried
I hear you're cat fans here as well.
to force his way inside before being apprehended. It's unclear whether Swift was home at the time of the incident. The man, named in the Daily News report as 52-year-old Hanks Johnson.
Hanks?
Yeah. Has reportedly shown up at Swift's...
Wait a second. That's like, is that possessive S?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not Hanks Johnson. I think his name is Hanks.
Okay.
Unfortunate.
Yes, it is. You're right. Which is
Hanks
why
Johnson.
you end up stalking people.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
You want to know why I'm here? My name is Hanks Johnson.
You got set down this path a long time ago.
Prospective parents, please think wise, or think before you name your children. So he has been.
This is Elizabeth's vagina.
Do you know Hanks?
She's dating Hanks Johnson.
What a couple.
Elizabeth's vagina is dating Hanks Johnson. So he has reportedly showed up at Swift's Tribeca home at least 5 times in the past 6 months and has other stalking charges currently pending. Wow. Criminal complaint
You're saying there's a chance.
said that the head of security at Swift's building told him he's not welcome there. In 2018, 22-year-old Roger Alvarado from Florida allegedly broke into the pop star's 3-story townhouse. When police responded to a call about a burglary at Swift's residence, they found a ladder leading up to a broken window at the Franklin Street home, then found Alvarado sleeping in one of her empty beds. He had also reportedly taken a shower at that point, too.
Do you know what's kind of cool? If you look at some of these high-priced places like around the brownstones and stuff like that in New York City, some of them have faux walls that are actually garage entrances, like Batman style.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Like that's a high-priced item to have.
That's pretty cool. Prince Harry has gotten a job as Chief Impact Officer at a startup mental health firm in California. The position, which is also popularly called Chimpo in business circles. Okay,
Chimpo?
So Chief Impact Officer.
okay,
By
yeah.
short, says, they say, well, talk to the Chimpo,
Bubbles, I might have some work for you.
But listen to this. It gets better. So it's getting viral for the wrong reasons in Japan. It's because the word chimpo in Japan is slang for penis.
Oh, my God.
Jeez.
So Prince William is a chimpo.
A news site in Japan actually reported how people were making jest of the job title, saying that all sorts of things like, I bet this kind of guy, this kind of news made junior high school boys joyous, and also no matter what age you are, the word chimpo usually raises smiles.
Wow.
Another said, imagine him coming to Japan and introducing himself as a chimpo to officials. I'm expecting to see the reaction on their faces. After the announcement, by the way, a lot of other firms will call that particular title chimpo. It's not just in the UK. He also happens to be the chimpo for Better Up Incorporated, a coaching firm, an appointment announced in March.
Specifically, what would be the requirements? What is he doing on a day-to-day basis? Do we know?
I don't
Or
know.
is he simply just a high-profile person they can attach to the company?
Yeah, figurehead. I'm not
Right.
really sure, but he's the chimpo. So
Okay.
ask him, I guess.
Well, the vending machine.
Annalyn McCord. This
Yes.
is pretty wild.
This is really wild.
Yeah.
Kathy O from Beverly Hills 90210, the
Yeah,
reboot.
she revealed that she's been diagnosed with what's called dissociative identity disorder, which was previously known as multiple personality disorder.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the 90210 and Nip Tuck actress recently had a conversation with Dr. Daniel Lemen where she discussed having DID and the stigma that surrounds it. She said, I'm absolutely uninterested in shame. There is nothing about my journey that I invite shame into anymore, and that's how we get to the point where we can articulate the nature of these pervasive traumas and stuff, as horrible as they are. So according to the American Psychiatric Association, one of the symptoms of DID include the existence of 2 or more distinct identities or personality states, which are accompanied by changes of behavior, memory, and thinking. It noted that DID can be associated with overwhelming experiences, traumatic events, and or abuse that occurred in childhood.
Yeah.
And she describes how her acting roles over the years brought the disorder to light. She said, all of my roles were splits, but I didn't even realize that I was doing it at all until I did a project on 90210. She said it wasn't until her 2012 horror movie Excision that McCord realized something didn't feel right because she, quote, couldn't get out of the character she was playing. She said, I played a very cerebral, disturbed, strange little girl that was very close to who I feel I am on the inside. It was very exposing, very confronting, probably a bit re-traumatizing without realizing it. She said the crazy thing about it was that I wrapped that film at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday and had to be happy, crazy Beverly Hills blonde bombshell on Wednesday at noon. And I couldn't find her. She was not accessible. I was dark. I was very deep into this character, Pauline, and I couldn't get out. She also detailed being co-conscious of her true identity, as well as a split personality she called Little Anna at 13. She said she was a balls-to-the-wall, middle fingers to the sky anarchist from hell who will stab you with the spike ring that she wears, and you'll like it. And then she'll make you lick the blood from it. She was a nasty little creature, but I have so much gratitude to her because she got me out of the hell that I was in. So apparently she had spoke back in 2019 about abuse that she had endured growing up and the trauma that it caused. She said, a year ago, I was in treatment for PTSD, and memories of child sexual abuse came back for years, all the way until I was 11.
You remember? Well, this is like straight up Sybil stuff, where the victim, and I don't know the specifics or whether this is still accepted nomenclature, but they build defensive personalities.
Yeah. She said, now I know why this is my life and this is my story because it is so personal to me. She also described receiving an outpouring of support from people after she came forward to share her story. She thought it was going to be different, but she did get support, which is pretty wild, man.
That's a tough thing. When you are dealing with...
I didn't think about the actor thing, about playing these different roles.
And exacerbating it. Yeah. To me, that's when you're trapped in your own mind. You know, like you can put a splint on something, you can stop the bleeding, but it's such an elusive thing to treat.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Karma Chameleon.
Yes.
Is the official title of an upcoming biopic of Culture Club frontman Boy George. Casting has begun on the period drama, which will chart Boy George's rise to superstardom.
Is Bautista playing him?
Alongside, his bandmates in 80s England. They don't know who's going to play him yet. Production on Karma Chameleon, that would be great, though.
That'd be so great.
Production on Karma Chameleon will likely begin this summer in London and Bulgaria after the project changed studio hands. In a video, Boy George revealed that Line of Duty star Daniel Mays has been tapped to play his father and teased an appearance from Keanu Reeves in the movie as
Interesting.
well. Yeah.
I was a big Culture Club fan.
I liked them too.
And they were well-written songs, and he had a good voice.
Yeah, great voice.
Yeah.
But the search is still on for a lead actor who will have some big hats to fill. He had said, who's going to play me?
Bautista, look at them side by side here, Preston.
He said, so we're looking for a brave young actor from anywhere on the globe to take on the role of his life, and it will be brilliant. I want to be impressed, so see you on the set this summer. I'll be wearing a big hat.
His brother, Boy George, was a boxer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Completely other line of work, yeah. Not really in the Culture Club vein.
Culture Club members Boy George, John Moss, Roy Hay, and Mike Craig were a force on the 80s charts with hits like Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, Time, I'll Tumble For You, and, of course, the biopics track Karma Chameleon. By the way, Time, I forgot about that song. That is a great tune.
Yeah, it's a great song. And, Alyssa Milano was in Commando, Preston, where Schwarzenegger mentions Boy George. So all the stories tie together.
Ongoing behind the scenes was a romance between Boy George and Moss. He was the drummer of the band that complicated the group's dynamic while influencing much of its creative output. By 1986, Boy George and Moss, as well as Culture Club, had broken up, and the band's magnetic lead vocalist was struggling with drug addiction. But the group has since reunited multiple times, and Boy George has moved forward with a successful solo career.
All right, so we're
that could
looking
be
at-
a good. That could be a good.
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Looking at a picture of Culture Club here in our studio, and
You want to adopt that look?
No, listen, I was a kid back then.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say is I cannot judge my kids and the children of today's style, right? Because there's this hairstyle that's out right now, Steve, that like all the boys are wearing. It's totally dumb looking.
Describe it.
It is like it's kind of shortish on the sides and the back, and then it's this weird unkempt mop on the top.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw a guy with that the other day.
And all
the rage.
Everybody's doing it, and I don't think it looks great, but I'm not going to judge it because I'm looking at this.
No, obviously, yeah.
Those guys look so cool, man.
There was a great
I don't think
Goldberg's episode where Lainey, just effing around with Barry, convinces him that she loves Culture Club and loves Boy George, and he shows up at school with the whole look. It's just hilarious.
What were you going to say,
I
Kat?
don't think it's supposed to be unkept. Like, I think it's just these kids that get the haircut because they want the look.
And they
then
don't maintain it?
And then they just get up and go to
style it?
school. They don't style it.
Oh, all right.
But anyhow, so we'll look for the Karma Chameleon movie down the road a bit. Let's see. The High School Musical star Zac Efron has broken up with his Australian girlfriend, Vanessa Valadares, after a 10-month relationship. The 33-year-old actor met the 25-year-old when she was working at the Byron Bay General Store in New South Wales. Wow.
So, so Byron Bay now is becoming the good day. My name is Preston Elliott. He used to be a footballer. That's where celebrities now are going to
Byron Bay?
Yeah, they're doing filming there, and a lot of the celebrities are falling in love with Byron Bay in Australia. I think it's where Chris Hemsworth has his super duper estate.
Well, they broke up, so they are done. All right, after months of rumors and speculation, it's finally been confirmed Michael Keaton will indeed return as Batman in The Flash 29 years after his last appearance as the Caped Crusader.
This has the potential to be pretty awesome.
I hope so, man.
I mean, so it's a multiverse thing. We have our Zack Snyder Flash, which is great. And now the talk, we have to find out, is Christian Bale going to be a part of it? Will Ben Affleck be a part of it as well?
Keaton's agency confirmed on Monday that he will return, while director Andy Muschietti revealed the official logo on social media and announced filming is already underway. The 69-year-old actor originally played millionaire Bruce Wayne and his crime-busting alter ego in Tim Burton's 1989 classic Batman and its 92 sequel Batman Returns.
I remember when they announced Michael Keaton as Batman, and I felt all my internal organs shut down.
He was known as a comedic actor back
and I'm
then.
like, no.
Yeah.
And then he owned it. He did a great job, and you needed. I mean, the shift was seismic, and it was great, and I'm so happy. But
He's a great actor. I mean, he was just in the Trial of Chicago 7, a smaller role, but like it's almost any movie that Keaton shows up in, he makes it better. He's one of those guys, and I love that he was in the MCU, as Vulture, and I love Michael Keaton. I always have.
His advanced years will make him the oldest Batman to date, having last played the role when he was 41. It's understood The Flash will introduce the DC Extended Universe multiverse, with Keaton portraying a Batman in a universe separate from the one that has played out in previous DC movies. The much-anticipated movie began production work in London on Monday, and Michael has fully committed himself to the project.
you know, it's wonderful too. We finally got to see the Flash get a real solid, cool screen time in the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. It was awesome.
Yes, agreed. Now, speaking of multiverses, it takes more than one person to direct multiple Spider-Men. Sony has announced that Into the Spider-Verse 2 will have the directing trio of Joaquim Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson to handle the continuing adventures of Miles Morales and the other Spider champions of the Marvel multiverse.
Were they part of the first movie? They had to be, right?
The other two directors?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because if you've never seen the movie, it has multiple distinct different styles.
And you know what they did brilliantly is explained how a multiverse might work.
Yeah,
it wasn't confusing at all. I really enjoyed that movie.
It is. It's fantastic.
So, of course, Into the Spider-Verse was a smash hit that also won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature and hailed for bringing Miles Morales to the big screen. The sequel will have original writer-producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And Dos Santos worked on the hit animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, while Thompson won an Annie Award for his work on the original Spider-Verse. Kemp is nominated for an Oscar writing One Night in Miami and co-directing of the Oscar-nominated Pixar film Soul. So he's got a pedigree too.
I like that name, Kemp Powers.
Kemp. I love it.
The name is Powers. Kemp Powers.
Plot details are tight, but it's expected the film will continue to have Miles meeting other Spider-Men of other alternate worlds. That may include the popular Spider-Man 2099 who showed up in the post-credit scene for the first film. The new film is intriguing given how rumors continue to abound that Spider-Man No Way Home will be a live-action Spider-Verse.
As well, yeah.
And Alfred Molina confirmed that he will be returning as Dr. Octopus.
So awesome.
From 2004's Spider-Man 2, while Jamie Foxx will appear as the Amazing Spider-Man's Electro. Somehow, both are plucked up from their respective fates to appear in the MCU. But they find a way to make it work, man. They do.
Just make it good. That's all we ask.
All right, and then we'll do one more quick story. When Tig Notaro discovered that her Army of the Dead trailer dropped and she was being dubbed, quote, sexy AF, she was puzzled by it. Notaro, who plays Marianne Peters in the Zack Snyder film, told The Tonight Show, I didn't even know what AF was, to be honest. My friends were texting me images of Twitter like, you're trending for being a badass and sexy AF. And I was like, well, what is that? So it had to be explained to her.
Well, I was talking to you guys, and they took out Chris D'Elia.
Yep.
Because he was in a Me Too, maelstrom at that time. So they took him out, put in Tig Notaro, and there are scenes where she's with everybody, but they had her acting against a green screen, and it's seamless. You can't even tell, at least in the trailer.
Yep.
Yeah, this is not the Tig that I am familiar with.
This is not your father's Tig.
No, and I love her stand-up, and she's so dry, and we had her in studio, and I'm like, because she's so dry, I'm like, I wonder if she likes us, I just couldn't tell. I wanted her to like us because I'm such a huge fan of her stand-up.
Well, maybe Zack Snyder directed her. Maybe we can ask Zack to ask her.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready for clips here, friend. Every breath you take turns a psychiatrist's life upside down when a patient takes her own life and then introduces her brother to his own family. And then this clip star Sam Claflin, discusses how he explored his character's emotions.
Like it was sort of enjoyable to kind of play with different versions of my one character. It felt like I was almost sort of schizophrenic in that respect. So it was quite fun to explore.
I don't give a
Every Breath You Take is now streaming on Apple TV. Here's the next clip. Night of the Sicario follows Taylor protecting the daughter of a woman in witness protection while the Sicarios hunt them down. In this clip, director Joth Riggs reflects on how unique the seniors were in this film. Here we go.
I really wanted each character to shine in their own uniqueness. They all bring something to the table. As seniors, they had years of experience and wisdom, so it was a lot of fun kind of fleshing out each one of those characters. And the actors who played them were fantastic. I mean, it is a pretty unique role, so they all really were excited about it, and we had a lot of fun shooting it.
Stop it!
Night of the Sicario is now streaming on Vudu.
Huh.
So you
do that voodoo that you do.
You do. All right, and there you go. That's the stack of entertainment stories for the day, friends. We have a secret text word, chance for you to win a digital download of Vanquish, and you can text the word secret to 39333 to be in the running for that. And keep your texting fingers ready, because less than an hour from now, $500 yet again in the Preston and Steve Money Clip. That is coming up. We'll have two opportunities for you this morning. A couple of guests on the show as well. We'll dive into that in a bit. We'll come back in just a moment. Stay with us. We got beautiful sunshine. It's not going to last, though, so enjoy it while you're making your way into work. We'll be right back.
Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
canny accent. My God.
After the death of Jen Steinman, I did some self-reflection.
All right. Well, listen, we need to take a break, and it is indeed Talk Like Bill Weston Day. We didn't know that until residential and commercial market. Visit mulchthis.com for details. A man is recovering after being bitten by a rattlesnake that he tried to pick up with a pair of barbecue tongs over the weekend.
That seems smart.
Firefighters responded after the incident was reported. The man was bitten near the thumb on his left hand.
Yow!
While he apparently attempted to pick up the venomous snake with a pair of barbecue tongs in an effort to protect children who were in the area.
Not a finger!
Firefighters treated the man on scene before transporting him to a nearby hospital. By Monday, he was said to be doing remarkably well and expected to be released from the hospital later that day.
Did the burgers burn?
The victim has been around snakes most of his life, hence his daring actions. The man said that the tongs he used were 14 inches in length, but joked that they were evidently not long enough. Animal Services was called out to the scene Saturday evening to deal with the rattler. Officer Mike McGee responded and located the snake. Equipped with tongs that reach about 5 feet and humane storage bucket, he set about trying to trap the reptile. Ultimately, the officer decided it would be unsafe to release the rattlesnake near the community, so the animal was later euthanized. They warned the public against using items such as cooking utensils to remove them.
And like paper towel.
They said a coiled rattlesnake can strike the length of its body, and the bites are painful and in some cases, rare cases, fatal. Which I was always curious about. Venomous snake bites. Yes. I assume that it would be along the lines of and more intense than a bee sting.
Right.
Because it's poison. It's venom. And I wonder if it stings like a bee or a wasp does when you get bitten by a snake.
That's a good question. Yeah, so obviously when a bee introduces its venom, you feel that sting immediately.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I got a couple of years ago, it had been a long time since I got stung by a wasp. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it hurt bad, man.
Would a snake bite, you assume with fangs that big, you would certainly wouldn't be fun.
No, but I'm curious about that stinging experience. So anyway, here, Hola says this posting says you usually experience some pain, tingling, or burning in the area when you've been bitten. Swelling, bruising, discoloration on the site. Okay. A Montana wilderness guide, this is a terrible story, with a love for the outdoors died after he was mauled by a grizzly bear, likely defending a moose carcass near Yellowstone National Park. Yeah.
Why don't you forget the moose?
Yeah.
For a moment.
It's probably what he said.
I love moose. I just do. And the guy was in the way and I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, I know there's going to be more. This guy was killed, but there's going to be more when I tell you his name. It was Charles Carl Mock.
Yeah.
Was attacked.
Do it again.
His name is mentioned a lot in this story. Okay. Charles Carl Mock was attacked last week while fishing north of West Yellowstone near a campground. Mock died at an Idaho hospital on Saturday. Mock sustained significant scalp and facial injuries. Okay, but this guy
he was mauled.
He was eaten by a bear here. Okay, so anyhow, he sustained significant scalp and facial injuries.
And he was near a dead moose.
Well, they found out later on. So he was alone when the attack occurred, though he did have bear spray with him. It's unclear if he deployed the bear spray.
God.
Rescuers spent about 50 minutes searching for him before they located him.
What about the moose?
He was transported via a rescue toboggan.
Why don't you forget the moose? For a moment.
And snowmobile, and then taken to the hospital in Idaho Falls. The day after the attack, wildlife experts with the Montana Fish and Wildlife Park surveyed the area. They encountered a bear that charged the group. And despite multiple attempts by all 7 people to haze away the bear, continued to charge. And due to that immediate safety risk, the bear was shot and died about 20 yards from the group. Wildlife officials said they found a moose carcass within 50 yards of where the attack on Mock had occurred. Indicating the bear, an older male weighing at least 420 pounds, was defending his food source.
That's a brutal way to die.
Yeah, it's horrible. All right. Let's move on to something completely different. In Korea, the recent opening of a sex doll experience shop near a local school is reigniting controversies over life-size sex objects, with many parents of students voicing concern over the adverse impact of such facilities as they would have on their children.
So you can actually go in and sample?
Yeah, I think that's what this is. They call it a sex doll experience shop.
Wow.
While objectors are even referring to the facilities as a new form of sex trafficking, police and education officials are facing difficulties cracking down on them due to a lack of applicable laws. According to police, sex doll experience shops or cafes are categorized as a free business type and thus do not require approval from local governments to open. They added that there are also no particular standards to regulate the new business related to sex dolls. Last Friday, police received a report that a sex doll experience shop has opened up in Seoul's Jungo district.
I have a sex doll at home. Her name is Annabelle.
The shop, which was located near 2 high schools, was being promoted both online and offline as an adult content experience shop.
Wow.
So the Annabelle, right?
Annabelle.
The Educational Environment Protection Act bans facilities that can have an adverse impact to students, such as adult entertainment establishments from opening within 200-meter radius of the school, but the shop denies that's what it is.
So, Steve, there's a news story with some details on it and a photo of 3 of the dolls in the shop, and one of the dolls is topless. They blurred out the topless sex doll.
Topless.
You know, and it's just like, guys, it's a doll. It's okay if we see her mannequin boobs.
It is kind of interesting, though, because it does present a gray area. There's actually there's no actual... I mean, it's a gray area, yeah.
What a weird world.
Yep. All right, you know what?
No, she really loves me.
And that is enough to fill the bizarre file for now, so we will wrap on that one. You still have, about 8 minutes or so, but 7 minutes actually, to get the word equal over to us, all right? And that is the money clip word for the hour, equal, E-Q-U-A-L. So get on it, enter it, don't miss your chance to win the money. Coming up a little later on this morning, we are going to talk to the founder and creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. Sold over 500 million copies worldwide.
That's insane.
Got a new book out, and his name is Mark Victor Hansen. We're going to talk to him. And then we will also have a gentleman who survived an avalanche on Mount Everest and has a book out about that. His name is Jim Davidson. So
amazing.
A few really interesting guests on the way. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in just a moment. Good luck winning that money. We'll be right back. Reddit thread that I picked up through BuzzFeed. And a guy had asked a question, what is the fastest you have ever seen someone, a new coworker, get fired? Mm-hmm. And asked for responses, and there were loads of interesting ones. So somebody's only been there for a short amount of time, and they get fired for whatever reason.
We had one here, don't you remember?
No.
In our sales department.
I do.
It was literally, it might have been 24 or 48 hours.
Yep, I do remember that. There was a reason behind that. I'm not going to go into the details.
Yeah, but it did involve our old advice to make sure your social media is clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the social media was clear, and that's why he was only here for 24 hours.
Yeah, so keep that in mind if you're applying for a job somewhere, and you may want to go back and check your history on social media, see what you got in there. So if you have some examples, I'm going to read a few from there, and there's a bunch of really good ones. Feel free to let us know. Here's one of the first respondents said a week was as quick as they had seen someone get fired. Said, I worked in a bar. A new girl started at work. She seemed a little rough, but was fine. One day she finished a shift, sat at the bar, ordered a red wine with lemonade and ice in it. And he says, not really relevant to the story, but just shows how she is. Her boyfriend came in. They had a huge domestic in front of my manager and several customers, and she threw a drink over her boyfriend and dramatically stormed out. So it was fired for that.
Not good. Mm-hmm. Take it to another bar.
Yes. This one says, heard this from a manager I worked with when I was in fast food. There was this one kid who didn't show up for work. He ditched work often, so the manager called around, couldn't get anybody to fill in his shift, so she had to fill in for him. And a few hours into his shift, the dude ditching showed up with his friends and ordered food from that manager.
Well, he's supposed to be working.
He was fired on the spot. Now, I don't know how long that person was there because...
Did you guys have any positions open? Yeah.
My friend Brett got fired from McDonald's where I worked growing up 3 separate times, and they needed him to come back, so he came back, and then he got fired again. And his brother worked there. He got fired, too. It was just one of those things where, like, why do you keep coming back, and why do you keep getting fired?
Well, he has such a special set of skills.
Other than, having someone get fired very quickly, we have talked about this before, and I've seen people just kind of disappear.
Yeah,
right. That happens.
There was a guy in sales ages ago at Y100 who was there for, I don't know, a week or two or something, and just decided he didn't want to come to work anymore. And I mean, left, like, just completely ghosted, like, never heard from him again.
Yeah, everyone has had that moment where you're there and you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? But at least let them know you're not coming in.
Here's a great story. This one says, first day of work. I saw this guy get fired. He walks in, and he says, what the F is up, dumbass, to the guy that was parked next to him. It didn't touch his new Camaro, but he had just bought it since he had gotten hired. And the guy that he said, what the F up is dumbass, F up dumbass to, was the CEO of the company who was there on a visit to their particular branch. He said literally 10 minutes into his shift, he was signing release papers. That's a quick one. Another one says here, a 19-year-old kid got hired to work the seafood counter. I saw him twice and then never again. So I asked a coworker what happened. He said he had closed seafood one night and was walking out of the store, and the 5 pounds of crab legs he stuffed down his pants fell out in front of the closing manager.
Oh, my God.
So he was let go
immediately. Come on.
Yep.
Let it breathe before you start stealing.
Here's a text that just came in. It says, new guy on his first day of work, refused to wear the approved uniform jacket, fired within 3 hours of his first day. So what do you say? No, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that? Or
aren't you aware that this is when you get hired, they set the rules.
There are rules.
They are providing you the job, and you are going to, in turn, work for them, and they will pay you for that.
Yeah.
So if you didn't want to wear the jacket, let them know right at the beginning so they don't hire you.
Yeah. Here's one that says, before their first day on orientation. It was the quickest they saw somebody get fired.
During orientation?
Yeah. He said, I got hired for a manufacturing job through a temp agency. Me and my friend me and a friend of my wife were both supposed to start on Monday at the plant for a week-long orientation. She got into a fender bender on her way to orientation and called them to say that she'd be a bit late, that she had just needed to wait on the police to give a statement. The manager told her, don't even bother coming in. The girl was torn up. She took pictures, and the police report and the hiring manager tried to explain things to the company HR manager.
Wow.
But no dice. She was fired before even clocking in. Well, that's just a jerk boss.
That's just somebody who's being a dick. Have you ever, on a side note, have you ever worked through a temp agency just to pick up some work?
No.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, I never have, but we used to, throughout the years, we've done, in the various radio stations, we've done commercials for places that are temp agencies. I always encourage people, it's kind of a good way to,
Yeah,
you want to get a smattering of experience.
The one I worked for was called Kelly Services. I don't know if they're still around or not. But
I remember them.
Yeah, I had a few different jobs through them. Usually it was like data entry or whatever, but it was good pay.
Yeah.
And I ended up in some good jobs as a result.
There you go.
I'm going to go to Colleen. Good morning, Colleen.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Wonderful. So you have saw somebody get fired pretty quickly?
Yeah, the company Christmas party, which was a few years ago, this gentleman was invited because he was going to start the following week. The company Christmas party was on a Saturday. He was going to start Monday. So they invited him, said, hey, come on out, get to meet some of the people you're going to be working with. You get to see the company as we are in our own element. And he got in a fight with his wife that night. His wife fought with one of the managers, got in his face, and he was fired on the spot. He never even started the job.
That's a double-edged sword. So if you're invited, they invite you to the office Christmas party before you've even started, I would come up with any excuse possible to not attend, because they're always a potential disaster to begin with.
I don't think you should ever go to the Christmas party.
Yeah, but if you're going on the Christmas party the first time, you don't know anybody.
Right.
You're going to be on your best behavior.
You're right, exactly.
Yeah, I know a guy who.
It was a big manager that he got in a fight with, so it was like the wrong person to pick a fight with.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Colleen.
People reveal themselves after a couple of cocktails, I guess. Yeah, I knew a guy whose mom couldn't attend the Christmas party, so he went in her stead.
I heard about that guy.
How'd that go?
Yeah, he stripped down his underwear and danced on a table.
He's popular.
Wearing mirrored round rimmed sunglasses.
Wait, did you get in trouble from your mom?
I mean, it was a private company, and I knew them, and no, not trouble.
Okay.
But
Was there anybody else in the underpants?
no.
Okay.
No, there was a DJ, and he had hula hoops, and was doing all kinds of fun stuff, and the drinks were free, and I took off my clothes.
Was everybody encouraging you?
I don't remember.
Hey.
I don't remember.
That's like my favorite story.
It was fun at the time. Yeah. Here's another one. It says, guy showed up to work on his first day with the smell of alcohol in his breath at 7 a.m. When questioned, he admitted to taking a couple of swigs on the way to calm his first day nerves down a little bit.
I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, he was fired on the spot. He worked there less than 20 minutes.
Here's a similar text, Preston, of along those lines.
All right. It says, company I used to work for had a new hire for exactly 6 hours. When they took her for a mandatory drug test after her training, she tested positive for such high levels of cocaine. They believed that she was doing it on the way to her test.
Yeah.
Wow.
I definitely smell alcohol in people's breaths
Instantly.
But I wonder if now, with everybody having to wear masks, if that hides it a little bit.
That's interesting,
more.
especially if you treat your mask with some sort of cologne or something, perhaps.
Yeah, take a little nip here and there.
Put a charcoal filter in it.
I'm going to go to Michael. Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, so I owned a construction business in Northern Virginia. I had a best friend living up in Jersey, and her boyfriend fell on hard times. So I gave them a place to live and the boyfriend a job working with me. The first day, I should have known right off the bat, just getting in the car, he was PO'd about having to leave so early. But we get to the job, I tell him I need him to cut some boards. Within 15 minutes, he comes up to me with a circular saw with the cord cut in half, brand new. He cut the cord in half. I'm like, I thought you'd done this before. He's like, yeah, but never this kind of work. I fired him on the spot, made him sit there all day while I worked, drove back, and then kicked him out and sent him back to Jersey.
Wow.
Wow. So he made it about 15 minutes into the job.
That was about 15 minutes into the job. He sat there for 8 hours that day, and it was an hour drive back.
Yeah. I thought you said you did this kind of work. Yeah, but I was lying.
God.
Oh, man, it was the worst mistake ever. The poor
Yes.
guy.
That sucks. All right,
they
thanks,
say
Michael.
no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. Let me go to line 1. This is Jason. Hey, Jason, good morning.
Good morning, Gadzooks.
Gadzooks, buddy. All right, quickest you've seen somebody get fired.
Within the first half of their shift, on their first day of training, I used to work retail as a manager and covering a warehouse. So we had a delivery come in, and there was a gap in the doors where the truck would back up, and we knew about it. There was a camera on it. This guy, learning how to just stack items on a pallet, unloading a truck, decides to drop a box of iPods out the gap. Say he's going on break, walk around the back of the building, and carry the box of iPods to his car. All on camera. We knew about all this.
Oh, my gosh.
It was the fastest I had ever gotten a response from HR with absolutely terminate them, and cops showed up and locked them up and took them away on the spot.
Yeah, because that's theft.
If you're going to steal from the company, case the joint for a few weeks while you work.
Yeah.
Find the loopholes and then go that way.
And disappeared.
Yeah.
If he would have just walked to his car and disappeared, we probably wouldn't have picked up on it until at least the end of the day.
Right.
Sure.
He decided to come back in and try to finish his shift.
You make your first theft a box full of iPods.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
So my friend, and I didn't know him then because I knew him in college, but when he was in high school, he worked at a Gold Medal Sporting Goods. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Nick? Yeah, and
sure.
he would throw things away in the dumpster and then
go steal them
after the shift was over. Yeah, so he had a little side hustle because he would sell all that stuff.
I mean, come on, the amount of employee theft that companies deal with on a yearly basis would blow your mind.
I'm going to go next to Brian, talking about people that have gotten fired very, very quickly. Hey, Brian, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. What's up, bud?
Well, I got fired as I showed up for my first day of work.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
It was daylight savings time had just ended, so the clocks were all screwed up. It was a morning shift. I started at 6 a.m. at a gas station. I show up, try the door is locked. I knock on the door. The manager's on one side of the door. I'm on the other side of the door, and he just looks at me and waves goodbye.
Wow.
That's a little harsh.
That is an accident that is made by many, many people during the clock shift. He wouldn't even entertain the notion that it was a legitimate, honest mistake.
We got there eventually. The way it all worked out, I didn't change my clock. I knew it was daylight savings time. I'd been up late partying because I was in college. And I didn't change the clock, but I just reset my alarm to make sure that I would still get up on time for work.
Right.
My buddy sees that I've gone to sleep and comes in and sees my clock and is like, "Oh crap, he didn't change it."
Oh my God.
My clock.
Oh.
Now I did have a conversation with them. I did get the job back, but man, I was fired instantaneously.
That's funny.
Wow. Yeah, listen, and again, my father, for all the advice he's given me throughout the years, is a couple things. One of the most salient pieces of advice was show up on time. And get that done. That'll help you keep a job. But so many people just don't.
Rochelle's motto is early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Unless you grew up in my family, then when you're only 5 minutes late, you're not really late at all.
You're not really late?
No, you're right on time.
Oh, my God. I used to, curse my mom in my head when I was in college, and I was rushing to get to class on time because I was like, this is her fault.
Right.
This is how she raised me, that you wait till the last minute to leave, because I would try to squeeze whatever I could in a little more studying, or I could quick do laundry really quick before my class, and then you end up being late.
Yeah. Yep. Here's another one from the article. It says this guy hadn't even started yet. and just had his introductory email sent out to the whole company, which ended with incredibly explicit details about himself, and he got fired before he even started. It doesn't indicate what the explicit.
Yeah, I'd like to see what those were.
Right.
Here's another one that says, day one, hit a parked car in the parking lot with the person still inside. When he was confronted, he lost his mind and even used threats. The man he hit walked up to security and said, "Don't let that man into my building. People like that don't work for me." He had hit the director's Porsche.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
You will hear about, like, in sales, especially like pharmaceutical medical sales, because they have to go away for training.
Yes, they do.
You will hear about people getting sent home. They're away for a week. Yeah.
What, because of just
partying or,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've got to watch that. You've honestly put things in context, like we talked about, Preston, earlier, the Christmas party. You don't need it. You don't need the Christmas party. You don't need to get into any situation that's going to compromise you or make you look bad in front of your bosses.
I will go next to Frank. Hi, Frank. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. What's up, bud?
So I used to work in a mechanic shop where we hired a new tech. He claimed to be a master tech, and on his first day, we all expected, him to bring a big toolbox into work. And he actually bought a little tackle box, like a fishing tackle box.
Okay. Yeah.
And, he would get handed all these big jobs, and, I'd have to hold his hand throughout the entire thing. And, as a master tech, you shouldn't really be helped with anything. I mean, this guy couldn't even change a battery by himself.
That's pretty bad. So how soon before you fired him?
Well, I didn't fire him because I wasn't the boss. But once the boss caught wind of him, he was out of there. It was probably 2-3 days.
Okay. Yeah. The notion of being able to lie your way through something like being a master tech or like a neurosurgeon, you're gonna be exposed pretty quickly.
The fake it till you make it thing doesn't quite work.
I'm a pilot.
Yeah. I'll try Jake. Hi, Jake. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's
hey,
up?
Bitches.
Hey, bitch. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. So we actually, I run a car dealership. I'm a sales manager, and we had this guy who we hired. He was supposed to be a technician, and he told us he didn't have a car. He needed a car, so he started. We gave him a car at a discounted rate. We gave him like the employee price, and then he stopped showing up to work the next day.
And so, all right, so that guy pulled the never come back again thing.
Yeah.
And he got away with the car?
Well, so the worst part about it is that he owed us $5,000 down for his loan that he had.
Yeah.
And after he stopped showing up, he just disappeared.
Now that's a crime. He's committed a crime at that point. That's simply just murphing it.
All right, thanks, Jake.
Well, yeah.
Here's a couple texts coming in that says loan officer fired first day for looking at porn on his office or his company issued laptop.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Can't look at porn on your company?
Not on your first day.
Or if you're a loan officer, radio, it's encouraged.
Hey, there are programs that are like on the computers. I don't know if we have them here. I guess we probably broke that program. But where if you search anything that the company lists as inappropriate or whatever, they get an alert and they know exactly what computer it comes from.
Yeah, I'm not on the network.
Yeah, they probably just turned that off because they
For
got tired
us.
of it, seeing everything pop up.
In fact, they get an alert when it's not porn coming into our computers.
Another text says, at a previous job, we escorted a kid out after 15 minutes. He was trying to sell heroin to a coworker.
Oh.
And then he super glued all the locks the next week on our building.
Jesus.
You're just trying to be liked at work.
Right.
Yeah.
I can get in their good graces if I sell them heroin.
I like this one. This says, as a teenager, I worked at a bowling alley. Within an hour, a new girl was fired on the spot because she dropped a bowling ball on the foot of a complaining patron. Dude.
Oh, man.
On purpose, we assume.
I assume, and that's...
I'll show you.
You could really hurt somebody
assault,
badly. This one says, the quickest they saw someone get fired was about 35 minutes in. Said, I hired a guy to work for me as quality inspector for merchandise, headed to Walmart and Target. He bragged about everything that he stole from his last job during training and how they paid him more than I did. Well, I'm not holding him back from all that money, so I had some big guys escort him off the property.
That's got to be the easiest job in the world, a quality inspector at Walmart.
Yeah. I will go next.
That'll be fine.
We have Preston. Good morning, Preston.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. What's up, my man?
Long-time listener. I call in once in a while. Well, it's like my second. But listen, guys. So this guy, he worked for me. I was a glass blower. I started blowing glass in '94 in after I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Was making handmade glass for a family-owned company. in South Jersey. We hired this guy. He worked for us for about 2 months. So his job was I blow the glass, and he
tickles.
He takes the yeah, I know.
Just keep going. Just keep going. You're good.
Yeah. Hey, to top it off, man, we blew glass balls all day.
There you go.
There it is.
So what did he do to get to screw up?
What's that?
What did the guy do to screw up?
Hey, man. So this guy, he's in charge of. So I'm a glass blower, so I got to keep the irons cool.
Right.
After they're in use.
Yeah.
So this guy is in charge of that. So he apparently, he has to use my Vaseline to keep Vaseline in the locker nearby because as a glass blower,
because you're doing all that blowing.
Yeah, it keeps your lips from drying out.
Right,
so
right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
So this fella apparently doesn't know that we use it for that. He must think that we use it for our hands or some other reason.
Okay.
So he come and asked me to borrow some Vaseline. Not thinking, I said, yeah, go ahead. And then a minute later, I put the irons down and I asked him, why are you using my Vaseline? Because I need to put that's for me. Everyone has their own Vaseline. That goes on my lips. And he said to me that he had some dry crotch.
Oh, my God.
And I asked him what the fuck. Oh, sorry.
All right, hang on. Okay. I had to dump out on that. So he said the reason he needs a Vaseline is he has some dry crotch.
Yeah,
and then you said,
crotch.
"What the f is dry crotch?"
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 19 years old, man. Like, this guy's older than me. He's in his 30s, and I asked him, "What are you talking about?" He said he spent a nice night with a lovely woman a couple weeks ago, but apparently he had something wrong where he had some blisters pop. And
so he had an STD. He put the Vaseline on his STD, and it's the same Vaseline you put on your lips.
I want to die.
Exactly.
Right. And here you are, just a young man blowing some glass balls, and you're afraid of getting a social disease.
Yeah, from blowing glass balls. Yeah.
Did anybody get fired in this story, or is this just...
No, he's just bragging.
No, they got married.
No, he was gone, man. He was gone.
Sure, you cannot. That is, if you go into our kitchen right here at One Bella Plaza, it says, "Do not offer up Vaseline you've put on your genitals if someone plans on using it on their lips."
It's an OSHA requirement.
Signed,
This is
Bill Weston.
This is lip Vaseline.
Yep.
This is not STD Vaseline.
This is for your dry balls. It's not for your lips. There's lip Vaseline and ball Vaseline, and they're in two separate containers, marked clearly.
Preston, that's our favorite story of the day. Thank you,
man.
No worries, guys.
Bye-bye. See you later.
I don't know if
you don't know what?
If it had to do with anything else that we were talking
He
about.
got fired.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The dude got fired.
End of story.
I won.
Slept with 5 Taiwanese hookers.
Did someone get fired?
I just wanted to tell somebody.
I
just needed to get that out.
I'm just glad that Bill has two different vats of
He does. Yeah,
Vaseline in our kitchen.
They're even in separate parts of the kitchen.
Yeah, one for your balls, one for your lips. Let's see. Here's another one that says, I saw someone get fired 3 hours into their first shift. Guy lost it serving an annoying customer in a grocery shop, threw a cabbage at her. The manager came and told him to go home because he's finished here.
There's cabbages for eating and cabbages for throwing. They're clearly marked.
Yes. Listen to your supervisor. And then let me get another call here. Okay, yep. Let me go. We got a break here shortly, Case. I'll go to Paul. Hey, Paul, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Hey, doing some rock truck stuff. So I had my dad's got his own company. He hired his sister's husband, and he ended up getting busted looking up porn and using the company email to make accounts and look up websites and whatnot.
And this was how soon after getting hired?
Probably 2 weeks, give or take.
2 weeks in, yeah? Okay. He felt all settled in, part of the company.
Let it breathe.
Yeah.
Let it breathe.
Right,
Maybe
thanks,
go
man.
home and look at porn.
Yeah.
And the dad fired him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're not very good at all.
Let me see here.
How many glass balls did you blow today?
Let me go to Tony. Hey, Tony.
Hey, you guys rock.
Thanks, man. What's up, man?
No, one day I went to breakfast with my foreman. He was talking about hiring this guy. So we're sitting there eating, and he decided to look up his Facebook. And this guy's waving like a gun and money in the Facebook page. And he's like, no, I'm not going to hire him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fired before even being hired.
Good idea is to take your pictures of you throwing gang signs and fanning money off your social media before you go in for your job, right?
Yep. All right, let me go to one more, and then we're going to have to take a break. I'm going to go to Larry. Hey, Larry. What's up, Larry?
Hey, how's it going, guys? So I work for a solar company. We go out, I'm part of the technicians. We go out, we inspect the homes, see if they even qualify for solar. Roof quality, things like that. And this information is given to every new hire, and we go through detail what exactly we do because it's not a fun job.
Right.
We get on rooftops. So we got a new hire, went through the process, explained what was going on. First house, got him up on the roof. It was a little bit of a steeper roof, but nothing, wasn't a sliding board. He ended up having a panic attack, and we had to call the fire department with a bucket truck.
Wow.
Oh, the poor guy.
Oh, man.
I'm sure. Listen.
Well, you had to let him go because he wasn't made for that
couldn't
job.
do it, yeah. But when
That's funny,
anyone's
though.
trying for a job and trying to get some employment and working, and obviously it's a tough thing. So I bet you convinced himself, I can do this, and again he couldn't. But the poor bastard.
Larry, what were you there when it happened?
No, unfortunately, I was not. It was one of my other district managers.
I bet
he went out with them, and he ended up having to, he wasn't too happy, but, it happens.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, no, the fire department. No.
Holy cow. All right. We'll end with this text. It says, hey, guys, it's your former intern 007 here.
007, yeah.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
He said, I thought that I was going to get fired when I got true drunk at a live show at the shore and woke up in a hotel room with Nick pointing a camera in my face.
Remember that? You had a girlfriend at the time, but hooked up with another intern?
And I spanked him heartily.
Oh, that's right.
With a paddle, and the skin peeled off his ass.
And yet
the
we
next
kept
few
him.
days.
You still writing for Philly Voice?
He said, thanks for not firing me. I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah. As far
I
as
see him all the time.
last I checked. All right.
See him all the time.
Anyway, thank you for sharing the people getting fired. So I'm sure Bill has fired people.
I'm sure he has
Santa's
had
gotta
to.
go.
Yeah, I'm sure that he has had to can somebody for a good reason after a short amount of time. Radio is filled with strange people.
You can forget that second Rolling Stone song. You're out of here.
That wasn't the reason.
Maybe Bill will share a story on Talk Like Bill Weston Day. We'll find out. We do need to take a break. We have a couple of really cool guests that are coming up. We have the founder and co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, the book series. He's got a new book out. His name is Mark Victor Hansen. Sounds pretty cool. And also a gentleman who survived an avalanche at Mount Everest will be joining us. We'll be back in a few. Stay with us.
Preston and Steve.
morning, which is nice, that are going to be joining each other. So they're husband and wife. And,
that makes sense.
And Chicken Soup for the Soul has sold over 500 million copies worldwide. That's a big number.
That's I would call that pretty good.
And there is a new book out. It is called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. It's brought to you by the same people who brought you Chicken Soup for the Soul. Please welcome Mark Victor Hansen, his wife Crystal.
Hey!
Good morning, guys.
Oh, Roar, that's wonderful. Breakthrough. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you guys. So, Mark, real quick, if you don't mind, touching on him, we'll talk about the new book, Ask, but touching on the success of Chicken Soup for the Soul, that came out, the first edition came out, or the first issue, I should say, came out in what year?
June 28, 1993.
Okay.
1993.
And I remember it being like the book. It was
everyone had it.
It was a name that popped up. Everybody was reading it. And it had been, from a quick bit of research, you had been passed up by some of the major publishers when you first pitched that idea, if I'm correct.
In truth, 144 all said, hit the road, Jack. My partner was Jack Canfield. And then we had our agent say, look, you guys are never going to sell us. Here's a letter, I'm releasing you forever, and that's cost him tens of millions of dollars because we sold 500 million books, which nobody else has ever done. So a lot of people made mistakes.
You know, the thing that I remember, and I think this is what's served you well, knowing what I've been able to glean about you and your approach, is that there were a lot of quasi self-help books and things of that nature that became trendy and went away, but you somehow managed to tie into something that was basic, but yet people, I remember when I read it and people that I knew were reading it, they were like, yeah. It was tapping into something that people sort of innately knew but wanted the reaffirmation of it. And so you've managed to bypass the passing trend and stay as something that people continue to turn to throughout the years. It's very impressive.
Well, thank you. We were doing heart-touching, soul-penetrating stories that cause God bumps, goosebumps, chilly bumps, and cause instantaneous behavioral change. So we had it down pretty well, just like we've got it now in the new book.
What led to your life philosophy, and how did you develop this take on things? I mean, doing the research on you, you come from Danish immigrants, and there's not a lot about anything like, no tremendous tragedy or some pivotal moment in your life that informed what you've become. How did you get to where you are in life and have this take on things?
Great question. So what happened is I was a Danish immigrant parents, like you said, but remember, I was in remedial reading from first grade to sixth grade, and they called me a dumb Dane. So all of a sudden in high school, my English teacher said, look, you could start to love reading and transform your life. And I became an addicted reader and a really good student, I guess you'd say. And then Jack, Dr. Canfield, and I met. And we said, holy cow. He said, you're the best storyteller I've ever met. Can we put this together? And everybody said no, and we finally sold it ourselves. And I've been a good guy selling and marketing ever since. And since I was 9 years old, I was a top greeting card salesman in America as a little Boy Scout. So I love selling and marketing, and said, wait, why didn't somebody sell 1 billion books? And just 2 days ago, Crystal and I were on a podcast with the top guy at Amazon bestseller list. And he said, you are the Roger Bannister of books. And I said, after Bannister ran the 4-minute mile, the next week, 119 people did it. The point is, we were physiologically no different, but it was a breakthrough. And so I'm breaking through to higher book sales, and it's going to help everybody get to higher sales. And book sales, thanks to COVID confinement, are at an all-time high right now.
Well, let me ask you another question here. So the new book, which I'm very intrigued about, Ask, is something that's so simple, but a technique that you expound upon and explain. I have to ask your wife, how was his game when he asked you to marry him?
There's a funny story about that, actually. My mom sent me to an author's conference because I was finishing my first book, and she insisted that I go. I was trying to get out of it, but I was in the VIP room talking to a speaking coach, ironically saying, I'm not going to drink at all because I'm just going to really talk about my business. And a woman inadvertently spilled an entire glass of red wine on my white pants.
Right.
And Mark comes rushing over from the other side of the room where he's surrounded by an entourage of people. Because he must have been looking my way.
Yeah.
He comes rushing over, he grabs my hand, he's like, I'm so sorry. may I help you find some club soda so we can get rid of that stain? And that was the beginning of our relationship. He literally dragged me into the kitchen. He knew where the kitchen was in this hotel because he'd had a lot of events there. Found the club soda, started talking about my work. He was intrigued because my clients were having amazing breakthroughs. I'm a transformational life coach, clinical hypnotherapist. And he invited me to dinner, and the rest was history.
Well, of course, my guess is he was looking at you for quite a while, prior to that. But the whole thing about this and what both of you are doing, and it's something that we talk about a fair amount on the show. I mean, we're more of a pop culture-driven show, but we tend to be reticent about things. We were talking earlier about an actress who had issues with, personality disorder and things of that nature, and we tend to, we'll put a Band-Aid on, we'll put a splint on, but we won't do the work to get us adopting a positive outlook in life, or being energized to get forward momentum, or creative visualization. Somehow that's just flighty talk that doesn't mean anything, but it does, and both you obviously are working towards that. What's the biggest obstacle that people face before they will embrace the concept of doing the kind of work that you guys promote?
The biggest obstacle people face is they don't spend enough time with themselves, and they're taking all their cues from the outside world. So we're all looking out each day, looking at this crazy world and all the bad things that are happening. And it sort of feels like life is just coming at us, and we're just ducking and dodging and trying to keep all the balls in the air. When in reality, you create your own life experience, and you do it from the inside out. So if the more time you spend with yourself, deliberately trying to create what you want, the more you're going to love your life, the more you're going to get the results that you actually want, the more you're going to be able to release those dreams in your heart and start really making tracks toward your ultimate destiny. Because we believe that every person does have an ultimate destiny, which in our opinion is the ultimate expression of you. Yeah. You as your very, very best version.
Mark, you and I were chatting a little bit last night. This is Nick, by the way, and I wanted to ask you about your time in Philadelphia and what you thought of this city, because I know you spent a lot of time here over the years.
Well, what happened is that when two questions ago, is that I went bankrupt and I was starting to build a business as a professional speaker, and I did all of Long Island, all of Manhattan, and now all of a sudden I'm in Philadelphia, and I go early in the morning to a car barth agency, the biggest at Equitable, and they loved me so much. They did two things that surprised me. They gave me a 10-year contract, which I thought, wow, I'm just a 26-year-old beginning speaker. And the second thing they did is they called the other 10 $100 million agencies, because what most people don't know, Nick, like you and I talked about yesterday, they go from New York and fly to D.C., and they miss the greatness, the business of Philadelphia. So I did a lot of work there and talked to probably 100,000 people over time. And it was all wonderful. The people there, it is literally the city of brotherly love. And of course, I ran up the staircase just like Rock.
Nice. Hey, I wanted to ask, and asking is what this is all about. Yeah. The book is called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. What's the foundation of this particular book, and how is it is the suggestion of using our ability to ask going to be helpful to individuals?
Right. So we determined there are actually 3 channels through which we need to learn to ask. And those people who seem to be getting, massive success in their lives, have really great relationships, happen to be really great at asking. But the channels are ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And each of those channels is equally important. The ask yourself part is that reflective journey. Asking others is really sort of your bonding journey in life, because we can't do this life alone. We're going to need to understand that we have to be a resource to one another. Everybody needs somebody. We all need each other. And then the ask God part is really how you connect to your greater purpose. So we feel like each of those is equally important. It just so happens that people who are massively successful in their careers, relationships, connected to their life purpose, happen to be great askers.
What if you're not a faith follower and asking God is not in your repertoire?
Right. No, that's a great question. I always say just start by going to your higher self, asking. I mean, we really believe that every person has that part of us inside that is our higher self. And it's interesting. I've found with my own clients that when you start going into, asking your higher self, sometimes you bump into God, because honestly, God can't works through you. He's not out there somewhere far away in the sky, or So it's really interesting when you just start asking your higher self, that greatest part of you.
It's an interesting point because I think we tend to be afraid of what people think. If we ask, they might assume, they don't know what they're doing. It's okay to not know what you're doing sometimes. It's okay. My dad, we talk about advice that you get from your parents, and early on, my dad just would always tell me, if you see somebody doing something or who has succeeded, go ask them, how did you do that? And not to be afraid of that. How did you do that? How did you make that work that way? And the people who are successful, and in my life, the people who've been successful were always the first to say, well, let me show you. Because they're not covetous of success. They want to share it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. The reason I sell more books than anybody has ever sold is that I asked the 101 best nonfiction and fiction authors, not how do you...
Nope.
Because I think I'm pretty good at that. See, I've got critics, but because they don't make sketches to critics, though, is I said, how did you mark some books and how did you sell more? And then I created a Wild business plan, and all of what we did with Ask, the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny, we discovered everybody suffers from 7 roadblocks to asking, and they come in different levels and flavors, and sometimes all of them, but we have a sense of unworthiness where we've been conditioned from our childhood that we don't deserve better, we don't trust ourselves.
Right.
Naivety, you don't know, and doubt, and then excuses, and then fear, and then pattern paralysis, and then disconnection. So any one of those can wipe us out. And what happens is when people are reading our book now, because we're the #1 bestseller after a year of working at it, they look at the mirror and they go, holy cow, I can shrink this. I can make it disappear and get rid of all my fear. It's a marvelous little thing that's happening.
Is it true that you are you sold out on Amazon now? Or are you guys having to hustle to get more copies?
Yeah, it was really crazy. About a week and a half ago, we hit Amazon bestseller. We sold out of books. I mean, it was a nice problem to have, but still a little bit of a problem. So our publisher was scrambling to, finish our reprint and get it to Amazon. And once he did, it still was an issue because Amazon has been so inundated because of COVID. There's just so many products flowing through that they're a little backed up in their restocking. And so for a while, we had to put out a sort of a POD, a paperback POD, but
print on demand.
Yeah, so we're in good shape now, but and of course it's on Kindle and audiobooks, so a lot of people like it in that version. But yeah, people are really loving the hardback version. It's a beautiful book, and I think people still love to hold that book in their hands and highlight it. It's a book some people go, this is like a course to change your life. So it's one of those books you want to highlight and you want to go back to when you're struggling because life continues to happen. We all know it's not that straight, easy, narrow road. And we need tools. And that's why Mark and I wrote the book, because we try to give people tools that are really practical and useful and kind of simple. I mean, we were all born as children with this beautiful kind of uncorrupted ability to ask. We asked who, what, when, where, why, how. We were infinitely curious. And we weren't afraid to ask for more or pretty much ask for anything we wanted. And then depending on how we were parented, what happened in our school years,
You get timid. Yeah,
we get shut down. Sort of that beautiful ability gets crushed out of us, and suddenly we're standing there as adults, pretty much terrified to ask anyone for anything, and like you were saying earlier, kind of ashamed that we don't have all the answers. Right, which is crazy. How can any of us have all the answers, and how can any of us do this life alone without being a resource to one another? So it's a super important tool for people.
I think this sort of stuff is necessary. I think a lot of times people are, again, as we said before, are like they get reticent, like, I don't know, this doesn't make any sense to me. And if you could do, I mean, I set some guides early on and just little tricks for myself, and in as far as not providing myself a ton of safety nets to force forward momentum and the creative visualization thing and those, everyone could take what you're imparting and tailor it to their own needs, but it's at least take a shot at it once. If you find that you're stalled and you're not making the kind of progress you want, sometimes, Preston, you'll agree with this. You like talking to like therapy sometimes,
absolutely,
or anything like that moves you forward in thinking about these things can be a godsend. Yeah.
Right on. And no matter what we think about life, our minds all work the same way. We form pictures in our minds about ourselves, and those pictures we form are usually based on our past experiences. So, and most of them are negative. So we don't realize it, but we're recreating through our own imagination and our own fears all the things we didn't like about our past, all the worries, all the setbacks.
Yeah.
If we don't intervene in that process deliberately and start asking, that sort of that ask yourself part, that reflective journey, like, what did I learn from this? Do I need to take this forward? How can I release this? We have the, self-examination questions in the book. We have the holding up the mirror questions, and all of that can help you release all of those negative kind of patterns that you've been holding in your brain and your emotional body, and kind of just let go of that and start to form better pictures in your mind. Pictures about the life you really want.
Steve, it's what you said about visualization, because your consciousness goes into subconscious, out to superconscious, and what happens is you've only got a couple of choices. You can accept an idea, reject an idea, or the third part, which is what you're saying, is you can form a whole new thought, a creative thought. Like, who'd ever think that we could fly back before the Wright brothers came along, or any of the breakthroughs, that we'd have cell phones and not be tethered for the rest of our lives. And all of us listening have grown through that. And now the cell phone is literally an AI extension of our body and our mind and our being.
Yeah, it's true.
So I want to ask about is this for people, and can this be for people who are desperate, right? Because like when I think of this, I'm like, there are people out there that are just a few clicks and a few steps away from absolute success, from absolute happiness and contentment. But there are a lot of people out there that are desperate, that are so far in a hole. Yeah. And whether we're talking financially, socially, spiritually, emotionally, and all that. It's somebody that is in the absolute depths of it right now, that's listening right now. Can this help them?
You know what? This book is exactly for that person, because when you're that deep, and each of us have been there before, guys, it seems like, people who are successful, they've always had it easy. No, we've been through terrible situations in our life, so we know. But when you're in that deep, you're sort of wallowing in all the problems and the misery, and you can't see a way forward. And so it's hard to get a positive picture. It's hard to form a great new idea. But asking is a little simple tool. All you have to do is start asking some questions. Everybody can ask questions, and question by question, answer by answer, you'll suddenly be like, you'll get an illumination. You'll suddenly get a breakthrough. You'll be like, oh, I didn't think of that. You'll suddenly keep asking questions. A plan will start to form. You will be amazed at how resourceful your own mind is. In fact, the studies we looked at show that when you start asking yourself questions, a different part of your brain lights up. And it's the part of your brain that does critical thinking. So your brain becomes a better resource to you, because when we're in that fear mode where everything's falling apart, our brain goes into primitive mode. It's not doing its best thinking. So the way to snap yourself out of that is get the book and start asking those questions and write down your answers. And you'll be amazed at how fast things start to pivot.
We often talk about a scene in a movie that we love, and it's a powerful movie called American History X. And there's a scene where the skinhead played by Ed Norton, he's asked by an instructor and a mentor in his life. He says, "What have you done to make your life better?" And that is the pivotal moment at which it snaps and clarity comes into his mind.
Yeah, he had asked him before. He said, do not ask him the right question.
Yeah.
The question was, has anything you've done made your life better?
Yeah.
And it's boom, immediately.
And by the way, all of us need to make our life better all the time. If you're alive, like Crystal said, we believe you were born with a destiny, and it's great. When I went bankrupt in 1974, and I'd been in graduate school, the smartest guy on the planet, Bucky Fuller, Einstein's best student, he'd been at a geodesic dome, but I went bankrupt overnight in New York. And that's a long story, but I'm sleeping in front of another guy's room for 6 months, and I kept asking myself, what is it I'm supposed to do? And all of a sudden the idea came up, supposed to talk to people that care about things that matter, that make a life-changing difference. The next morning I go, whoa, to my 3 roommates in Hicksville, Long Island, New York. I said, hey, guys, any of you know somebody young that's speaking that's not a lawyer, doctor, celebrity, famous radio host or something else? And they said, yeah, because I was asking them. And he said, yeah, there's a young guy out speaking in Hauppauge, Long Island. Well, I went and watched this guy mesmerize 500 people. I got out there. I asked Chip afterwards, Chip Collins, I said, teach me how to do what you do. He said, look, kid, the chance you make it is 1 in 1,000. You ain't going to make it. But I said, I want to do it. He said, you stay out of real estate. I own the 5 boroughs of New York. you go into life insurance, like I told you earlier, and I did 1,000 talks a year for the first 3 years, and made a lot of money. And everyone said, "You have that in a book." And the first book I did was Stand Up, Speak Out, and Win, a little self-published book. Sold 20,000 copies to a little audience of 10 to 50 people at a time. Made $200,000. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I was so happy. Because everybody right now has got to pivot, and that's what asking questions and why Crystal and I wrote this book, Ask the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny, because we've been in this confinement cocoon, and the only way to break it through and get out of distress and despondency and disconsolence and depression is by asking the right questions so you get the right results and have the right future for yourself.
Very cool.
Well, people could use some guidance right now, absolutely. And Ask, which is the bridge from your dreams to your destiny, was available on Amazon, but it's sold out. But you can find it at Barnes & Noble, and it's an audiobook, and there's going to be more on Amazon coming up very soon, I'm sure. Mark and Crystal.
Actually, our publisher did get the books. It's back on Amazon.
It's back! Yay! We asked!
This just it. We asked, we received. I love it. Well, Mark and Crystal, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. It's so wonderful to talk to you, and, keep helping people. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you, Steve, Preston, Nick, Casey, and everybody helping.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, let's hear from Mark and Crystal. Chicken Soup for the Soul. Authors now, Mark and Crystal have Ask the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Cool, man. Nice. And I tell you what, I try to, as one of my kids is very hesitant on asking for help.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to impart that a lot of times when you ask for help, people not only will, they want to share what they know with you.
Yes.
It makes them feel good. It makes people feel good helping someone else, that their bit of knowledge that they can pass along to you is going to help you.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's not something you should ever be embarrassed about.
No,
asking
not
for
at
help.
all.
We experience it all the time here at work, and people ask us for help. We ask others for help, and more often than not, people say yes, they want to help.
How do I get this horse out of the studio?
Prime example.
Yeah.
There's soup all over the floor. How are you going to clean that up?
Who did this?
Like if he would have just simply asked, whose bowl is this?
Right.
Yes. We wouldn't have had the issue that we had with Chuck's bowl being thrown away.
It's Talk Like Bill Weston Day.
It is Talk Like
Do you
Bill
think he
Weston
would
Day.
balk at the title of the book, Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't like that at all.
It's only in print. I can deal with that.
It's soup, and not everyone likes chicken. But anyway.
Them's fighting words.
Hang on a second.
What?
I want to go to Mark, who's on the phone. Hey, Mark, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well.
Why are you doing so well?
I won $500.
Sweet mother of God!
Mark is our winner of the money clip and has got $500. Where are you calling from, Mark?
Coopersburg, Pennsylvania.
Coopersburg. All right, and there's a little note here that says that Marissa bumped into you on St. John Island. Is that true?
A few years ago, yeah, when she had food poisoning.
Oh.
What?
You have food poisoning on St. John?
Okay. And how did you encounter her, Mark? Were you working at the hospital or what?
No, I was with a group of my friends, and I saw a group of people from the Philadelphia area that had various T-shirts on. I asked where they were from, and they were all from the Philadelphia area. They said they were down for a wedding.
Wow, and you're like, who's that chick pooping behind the bush?
Yeah. Later, and she was not there with that group because she had food poisoning.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. Well, it's an interesting story, but the better part of this is that you now have an extra $500 in your pocket, Mark. We thank you for listening to MMR and playing along with Money Clip. So enjoy, my man, all right?
All right, have a great day, guys.
Excellent. Let's hear from Mark, our winner. Another one.
Who's the girl crapping in the steel drums?
And we are 26 minutes away from your next opportunity to win $500 with the MMR Money Clip. So question, Casey, do we continue for a moment?
We have a couple minutes.
A couple minutes?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, a couple.
Then I think we better clean up the junk drawer.
It just keeps getting better.
Are you ready, Steve?
Wait,
Hold on.
I was waiting for Steve.
I
Yes,
know.
good to go.
All right. Here we go.